Hey, Ed T1138 here, and I got home today after a very long day of work and waited for the family to go to sleep. Decided I would sit down and watch SteveBenway's latest Friday Talkie, and wouldn't you know, he hit on a subject that caught my interest. And I know that some of you who watch my channel are going to know that I'm a bit of a response whore anyway, but I had to sort of put my 2 cents in on this one. So the first thing I did is check to see if anybody else did any responses so that I didn't hit on the same topics that they did. And I wanted to see what their opinions were. And I found the Sainted Magnus show's response and Lawn Boy's post-1975 response. And they both made some very good points. But I think between the three videos, there were a couple of different things being discussed. And on one hand, you have the gaming community as a whole, and on the other, which is what I think Steve was talking about, the retro gaming community. And I'm going to propose to you a couple of things that I think may be contributing to the retro gaming community actually shrinking. Obviously, I think that it is shrinking. And one of those things is, I think, rather obvious. Retro gamers tend to be older for the most part. Not the Sainted Magnus show, or Lomboy's. No, Lomboy's older than me, so I guess he doesn't count. But not all of them are, but the vast majority of us are definitely older. I'll leave it at that. And how that affects things is we have families, we have mortgages, we have jobs that keep us very busy, so we have less time. And I think that a lot of people that start YouTube channels at the beginning don't realize how difficult or how time-consuming it actually is going to be. And if they're not, into it, or if they don't enjoy doing it, then, they're going to get discouraged very quickly. Or in some cases, not very quickly, but at some point they will get discouraged. There is a YouTuber that I was subscribed to that happened to just recently. His life got in the way of YouTube, so to speak, which I know that sounds odd, but I mean, that's what happened. And I think that's what happens with a lot of us retro gamers, is at some point we realize that, it's just taking up weight. And that is somebody calling me. Who is this? Right in the middle of my video, you dick. Hey, it's the Sega Stoner Show. Look at that. Harassing me. Anyway, God, now I'm totally thrown off, but I refuse to re-record this. Yes, older people with families. As an example, I myself, because of the bad economy, have had to take a couple of different jobs lately, and my current job, I mean, it just takes me all over the state of Ohio. I drive 700 miles a week for my job, and that is in addition to spending 8 hours actually working and then having to work at home, and it's just very time consuming. And then I come home and I have 2 children and a wife who would like my attention, and I have the house that I spend way too much money on every month that needs work. Cars break down and you got to fix them, and life really does just get in the way. So if you don't enjoy doing YouTube videos, you're going to give up and you're going to move on. And, that's just a sad fact of life. Another thing that I think is a fairly decent contributor to the retro gaming community shrinking a little bit is, well, I mean, quite frankly, it's money. You have a lot of larger gaming channels, we'll say, and I'll use an example of one that I liked from the beginning, before I started posting videos, is Classic Game Room. If you look at Classic Game Room when it first started on YouTube, it was all retro gaming all the time, and I loved it. I loved Mark's sense of humor on the show. Even though it was scripted, I still enjoyed it. He seemed like a very genuine person. And then at some point here, I can't remember exactly when it started, but Classic Game Room started showing modern game reviews and console reviews. And Mark realized, hey, I'm getting more viewers for these videos than on my classic videos. So he started posting more and more, and at some point it became primarily modern game and console reviews, with like Matchbox cars and stuff thrown in there too, but I think you get my point. He noticed that he was getting more viewers on the modern games, and again, this is just an example. I'm not blaming it all on Mark. Mark is great, but if you look at the videos, his retro game reviews and system reviews still get thousands and thousands of views, but his modern game reviews get many thousands more. You've got so many more younger viewers tuning into YouTube than older viewers. That's just what has happened. And so then you started noticing other channels. I'm not going to name all the different channels, but you started noticing other large channels that are taking in revenue off of YouTube. SteveBenway, of course, not one of them, because he's a retro gamer through and through like I am. But you noticed other retro gaming, or primarily retro gaming channels, started doing modern games also. And I think that a lot of people are looking at that and saying, hey, modern games, if you want to get viewers, that's what you want to review. And you can see that in like unboxings. It's hilarious. A new game comes out and the next day there's 30 unboxings. And if you tune into the 8-Bit Theater's channel, he did a great parody of an unboxing. And that's just one indicator that people are really out there trying to get views. You know what? I wouldn't care if 5 people watched my channel. Certainly it makes me feel good, but views is not that important to me. But people are seeing these larger channels go out and do modern game reviews, and they're seeing that those modern game reviews and the modern system console reviews are getting many more viewers, and that's kind of what they're patterning their channel off of. So, well, I'm not that person. I don't do that. Part of the reason I started my channel, obviously I started my channel because I wanted to interact with people like SteveBenway and the Sainted Magnus Show and Long Boys Post 1975, but I also wanted to encourage other people to pick up retro gaming. I'm one of those generic channels that Steve talked about because I do pickup videos. But the reason I do pickup videos is because I want to show people who maybe aren't into retro gaming that you can do it, and you can do it cheaply, and there are lots of them out there to be had, and you can have fun doing it. So that is one of the reasons I started my retro gaming channel, is to help convince other people to get into retro gaming and hopefully to do more retro gaming related videos on YouTube. And I'm surprised at how many people I've inspired to do retro gaming videos or transition their channel into doing retro gaming videos on YouTube in such a short period of time. But anyway, enough about me. I don't matter. My 2 points would be, we tend to be older. With a bad economy, we're all much busier trying to make ends meet. So you're not going to see as many retro channels because, well, we just don't have the time. Another reason, there's more viewers in doing modern games and consoles. There is. No two ways about it. So that's my 2 cents on that subject. As far as the other subject that Steve talked about, I don't do modern gaming except on the PC, and occasionally I'll play on the Nintendo Wii with my son. But I don't know. I think that there's some balance that could be had there with the whole security and piracy and all that. You're never going to stop piracy. No matter how good your security measures are, there is going to be some guy that lives in mainland China that is going to find a way around your security measures. So you can't stop it. What I think that you should do, and I'm not a genius as far as technology goes, but what I think could be done is, possibly bring the cost of games and systems down just a little bit. A lot of that cost in there is because they're fighting so hard to stop piracy. So bring the cost of everything down just a little bit, and then make it a little bit harder for people to, or not harder, but don't necessarily make it impossible to pirate, but make it expensive. I'm sure that since you can't stop it, you could definitely make it more expensive. So bring the cost down a little bit, raise the cost of pirating the software up, and then just make it easier for people to access the games that they purchased. if you do that, if you make it easier for them to get the games that they bought, and you bring the price down a little bit, and you make it a little bit more expensive to pirate it to begin with, I think you're going to solve your problems. Because somewhere between there, if it's more expensive for them to pirate, they're not going to be willing to pay for the pirated cut. Ah, hell, I'm rambling, pulling a SteveBenway, but you know what I'm trying to say. Somewhere there is a balance, and I think that they've gotten it in their head that they're going to do everything they can to completely stamp out piracy. Well, damn it, it's never going to happen. You're never going to completely stamp out piracy. Give it up. You're wasting money on it. You're pissing off your I don't know, is constituents the right word? Whatever. The people that buy your shit, you're pissing them off by doing all this stuff. So, oh hell, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a retro gamer. I don't buy modern consoles. There you go. Stop buying modern consoles. Buy Nintendo games and Sega Genesis games and you'll be happier. Alright, hey, thanks again, Steve, for this interesting topic. And thank you to the Sainted Magnus Show and Lomboys Post 1975 for giving me some things to consider. And, well, for the rest of you that don't know who I am, you're not going to watch my channel anyway. So, hey, see you later.